Look, I need to be straight with you about something that's been floating around Blue Jays circles lately, and honestly, it's the kind of move that either makes you look like a genius or gets you run out of town. But hear me out, because what I'm about to break down isn't some hot take designed for clicks. This is about reading the room in a way that most people aren't willing to do right now. The Blue Jays are sitting in this really interesting position where they need to make a decision about Bo Bichette, and everyone's acting like there are only two options: pay him or panic. But there's actually a third path here that nobody's really talking about in any serious way, and it involves Trea Turner. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Just stay with me. Here's the thing about championship windows that people don't really understand until they've watched enough of these cycles play out. When you get close, really close, to winning it all, something changes in how front offices operate. They stop thinking in terms of binary choices and start thinking in layers. It's not about one move anymore. It's about how every single decision creates ripples across your entire organizational structure for the next 3 to 5 years. The narrative right now is that Toronto needs to either extend Bichette or go out and spend big on a free agent shortstop. But both of those options come with massive structural costs that people aren't accounting for. An extension for Bo could easily push into the $200 million range given his age and the current market. That's not just money, that's roster flexibility you're trading away. And the free agent market, you're not just paying premium dollars, you're giving up draft capital in some cases, and you're entering bidding wars where the price gets inflated past the actual value of the player. So what if there's a move that maintains your competitive level right now, adds something your lineup desperately needs, and doesn't force you to mortgage multiple aspects of your future? That's where this Turner idea comes in, and I want you to really think about what it would actually accomplish rather than just reacting to the names involved. The framework that's being discussed involves sending Jose Barrios and Addison Barger to Philadelphia for Turner. And before you jump to conclusions, let me walk through why this isn't as wild as it sounds when you actually look at the numbers and the context. In 2025, Bichette and Turner put up almost identical offensive numbers. Bo had 181 hits, Trea had 179. Bo hit 18 home runs, Trea hit 15. Their on-base percentages were .357 and .355. We're not talking about a downgrade in production here. We're talking about lateral movement in terms of pure offensive output. That's the first piece people need to understand. You're not losing runs. You're redistributing where they come from. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that actually changes games. Turner stole 36 bases last year. 36. That was 8th in all of baseball. Bichette stole 4. Over his career, Turner has hit at least 30 stolen bases in 7 different seasons. He's consistently near the top of the league in triples. What you're adding here isn't just a guy who can hit. It's a guy who completely changes how defenses have to play against you. Think about what that does to a lineup that already has Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer and the pieces Toronto has built. You're not just getting on base, you're applying constant pressure. You're turning singles into doubles. You're forcing pitchers to work faster. You're creating scoring opportunities that don't show up in the traditional stats, but absolutely show up in wins and losses over the course of a full season. And there's another element here that people aren't considering. Turner playing in Toronto's lineup would likely see his RBI numbers jump naturally, not because he's a different hitter, but because the context improves. More guys on base in front of him, more protection behind him, better situations to drive in runs. The environment makes the player more productive without the player actually changing. Now let's talk about what Philadelphia gets, because this only works if it makes sense for both sides. Barrios just threw his 5th straight season of at least 30 starts. In a league where staying healthy and eating innings has become increasingly rare, that matters. Philadelphia has questions in their rotation, especially with uncertainty around Zach Wheeler's availability early in the season. Barrios isn't coming in as an ace, but he's coming in as a guy who gives you 200 innings and lets you manage your staff without panicking in May. Addison Barger is the depth piece that contending teams always need. He hit 21 homers, 32 doubles, and he can play multiple positions. That's exactly the kind of player that good organizations develop into valuable contributors, especially when injuries inevitably hit during a long season. For Philadelphia, he represents upside without significant investment. From Toronto's perspective, and this is crucial, you're not blocking any of your premium prospects. You're not burning multiple draft picks. You're not closing the door on future moves. Turner's contract is long-term, yes, but it functions as a clear bridge. He doesn't prevent you from bringing up your young talent when they're ready. He organizes your timeline instead of disrupting it. Let's address the obvious concerns, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is risk-free. Turner's contract is substantial. He's going to age during this deal. Speed, which is his biggest differentiator, historically declines as players get into their 30s. If that tool erodes, you're left with a good but not great hitter at a premium price. And moving Berrios does reduce your rotation depth at a time when you can't really afford to lose reliable arms. But here's the key question, and this is where organizational philosophy comes in. What's the alternative? You let Bichette walk and try to replace him with a free agent at inflated cost. You extend Bo at a number that might not age well given his injury history. You roll with internal options and hope they develop faster than expected. Every single path has risk. The question is, which risk gives you the best chance to win now while maintaining flexibility for later? This isn't about Trea Turner, the individual player. This is about how winning organizations think. They don't react to problems. They anticipate multiple scenarios and build parallel paths. They don't make emotional decisions based on who fans are attached to. They make calculated moves based on production, fit, and structural impact across the entire roster. The Blue Jays have spent years building toward contention. They've assembled a core that's capable of winning right now, but sustaining that window requires making decisions that sometimes feel uncomfortable in the moment, but make perfect sense when you look at the full picture. Trading for Turner isn't about giving up on anything. It's about maximizing what you already have while keeping future doors open. So here's what I want to know from you, and I really want you to think about this like you're sitting in that front office room making the actual decision. Would you make this move? Would you maintain your offensive